everybody. Super excited about my guest for today. And he is Three Kings Visions. And he goes by, of course, that's what he goes by on Instagram. But his name is Billy Allen. And I am so appreciative that you have accepted my invite today. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to be dope. Because what I know from you, I've been following you for several years now, and I just know that you are a ball of energy, Billy, like a ball of energy. So please introduce yourself to my audience, and then we'll get right into the icebreakers.
Well, good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on what coast you on. I am Billy Allen. I am a librarian by profession and the creator of Three King Visions.
Yes. Okay. So by the way, super excited to have you on because number one, is it still an anomaly, and it's still rare to see Black librarians, but then to see a Black male librarian is like, what? Like, yeah, we got them out there. Yes, they're available. And so I was like, I definitely have to get some Black male librarians on this show because I don't want folk to be thinking it's just women in the profession, but it's men out here that's showing up and doing a job and doing it well. And I appreciate you. So I'd like to start off each guest with some icebreakers. So the first one is, what's your favorite childhood book?
I just go back into when I was little, as far as developing the love of reading. My mom had me reading things I was interested in. I was reading the Slam magazine, which is basketball. I was reading the Game Pros, the PlayStation magazines, because I was in the video games. So I remember vividly reading those type of books, Sports Illustrated. I did remember my mom did buy a book based off the Family Matters TV show. So I remember I was reading about Urkel when he transformed into Stefan and whatnot. So those are my early fondest memories of reading books.
Okay. All right. Yeah, especially when it comes to boys, I feel like you definitely have to do a really good job of making sure that they get books that they really enjoy, or just reading material that they enjoy, to get them excited about reading, because it's very hard to kind of like get boys sometimes to get excited about reading, because it's this stereotype of reading being only for girls, and that's a girl thing. And I like the fact that you're out there, you're a male, you're in the forefront, you're a Black male in the forefront, and you're showing them like, no, reading is cool, reading is fun. Let's get excited about that. But I don't want to dive too far into that conversation before we get to the icebreakers. So you work at a library, so of course you have a library card. At least I'm assuming that you got a library card.
I do.
So my next question is, how many you got?
So I've worked in 3 different library systems. My first library system I worked in was in Jacksonville Public Library, and it's still active. And then I worked in Broward County Libraries, and now I'm working for the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. So I have a total, actually, of 4 library cards, because I count my e-card that I created in Broward as well. So, I'm everywhere.
Okay, listen, look, I feel so seen, because I also have more than one, and everybody else come over here, they be like, I got 1, I got maybe 2. I'm like, nah, well, all right, that's fine. So when somebody come over here and say that they got more than that, I'm like, okay, I feel seen. I don't feel like I overdo it, because I got at least 3 active right now.
If you're visiting cities and like here in Las Vegas, it's a very transient town. So when people are coming into the library, they may not live there. So, we have different options for you to obtain a library card, because I want you staying in and coming in the library and coming back. So if it's an e-card, or is it a non-permanent resident card, look, we're going to make it happen that you get those resources.
I know that's right. And I feel like if you're paying your taxes, or if you visiting, like you said, and you might be there for a little while, use the library. Make sure you get that resource. That's a free resource that a lot of people really underutilize. That's there for you to have. So it's definitely important. My last icebreaker is, who's your favorite author/writer?
Being that I read a lot of children's books, literally I just got a book from Todd Parr. Well, actually I got about 8 books from Todd Parr. So I'm gonna be taking over his Instagram account this Friday, doing a story time, I'm so excited about that. Bob Shea is one of my favorite authors. Or as far as the independent, because I read a majority of the books I do in my story times are independent authors. Cheryl Smiley Oliphant, Mr. John, my other Black male librarian cohort. It's a lot of them. It really is. I mean, I'm looking at books right now. I literally have books all over. Victoria Allen with my buddy. I Got a Dream in Me by Nikita Shelton. We got Mommy and Me Don't Match by Kay Monsa. You know, we got Brian Keith Harris II. I could go on and on and on because that's been my biggest supporters.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. I've noticed, I've seen, and I'll have some of the people you just named on the show as well at a later date. But congratulations on that with Ty Parr. I just saw that announcement literally before we started filming. I was like, oh, that's so dope. Congratulations to you on that. But yeah, I agree with you in regards to making sure that you just have a lot of different like children's authors to pull from. As we all just saw the announcement that Casey Boyd just became the school librarian of the year. I was so happy for her.
That's amazing.
Yes, and I just recently, actually, her episode is out now. I recently just did an interview with her, and we talked about, and that's part of the reason why I sent you the school librarian questions, because I feel like what you do kind of directly aligns a little bit with what school librarians do, and that is making sure that you're advocating literacy and that you have books that feature diversity and feature diverse authors and audiences for children. And you guys kind of like match up, although you are in more of a public library space, you still cater your audience towards kids, and I think that that's super important. So how long have you been a librarian, and why? Also, then the next question is, why do you think it's important for you to make sure that you create a space for kids to get fun, learn about and enjoy reading?
Well, I've been a librarian for over 6 years. I got my master's degree in library science from North Carolina Central University. I'm a proud graduate of 2 HBCUs. Shout out to Lincoln University in Missouri and then North Carolina Central, Flying Eagles in the building. It is so important to create avenues and resources and platforms for kids and families to get this access to early literacy books, just access to books, period. I think my job is to eliminate any barriers as far as people accessing information. People ask me, what do you do as a librarian? I tell them I'm a matchmaker of resources.
Okay.
So, it's all about being in tune and engaged into your community. Every community and every library is different. I work in public libraries. I did have the opportunity to be managing a library in Florida where we was connected to a middle school. And then I had one when I was managing a library where, it was connected to a college. So it's all different perspectives and different demographics. So you got to be able to assess the needs of what the community and the patrons want, which is kind of funny. Our library system wants us to get out the way of using the term patron, want to use customer.
Yeah.
But it's all about knowing what the people want. And I feel like representation is everything. We say that, and I know it's a little cliche now, but you're seeing right now, look, you mentioned Casey Boyd, people like that, myself and other people representing the field of librarianship, that right there is going to inspire the future right there for them to see us, to be like, you know what, reading does not stop, and it never will.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. First off, you just made so many connections for me. This is part of the reason why I do this podcast, because it's like a lot of connections there. I unfortunately did not get the opportunity to go to a HBCU, but I am aware of Lincoln University because that's close to my hometown, East St. Louis, Illinois.
Hey,
yeah. So I'm from that area. And then also you mentioned something about, and I believe your alma mater is the only HBCU that has a library of science program.
Yeah.
I did not know that until I looked it up, and I was like, oh, wait, I wish I would have known this before I decided to get my library degree, because I would have tried to go to this school. But it's neither here nor there. I've also been a librarian for now for 6 years. I went to UIUC, so University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign.
You might know some of my best friends.
Probably.
So it's 5 of us. Probably know Bradley Kirkendall, Gerard Moore, all them graduated from there too.
Okay, yeah, it's a huge school, but I actually did my degree online. I didn't go
Okay.
on campus. So if they was on campus, they probably don't know me and I, but we know each other though, because I'm all about expanding my network. And I agree with you. It's important for us to be in the forefront. It's important for people to see people that look like us also, because I feel like this is a form of advocating for the field of librarianship and helping to diversify it, because
Yes.
now you see African Americans, you see Latinas, Latinx, you see Asian Americans, you see all of these indigenous people, you see BIPOC people of color in the field, and we're getting in and we're making our own way and we're making our own lanes, and then it's becoming attractive, and more people that look like us are like, okay, yeah, I think I'm interested in this. I've had two people on what we call Bookstagram that didn't
Mhm.
even know you can go to school to become a librarian, and they're both Black women. And I was like, absolutely, let me tell you about it if you're
Right.
considering this. So I think that is very important what you do, like you said, with children and their family, making sure that you're promoting literacy, understanding that reading is fun. And I considering you, although LeVar Burton is still around, I was like, oh, this is like a modern reading rainbow for the kids. And I don't know if that was what part of your inspiration, but what really was the vision for Three Kings Vision when you decided to create this space, and then like really build it into an empire? In my opinion, humble opinion, that's what it's becoming, an empire. And so what was your what made you create it? How was your process on building this, and what were your thought processes going into it?
So initially, when I look at like as far as inspiration, as far as me developing the love of reading, it was definitely my parents. Like they was giving me the resources. Like they knew I was into basketball. They know I was into video games. I'm a diehard hip hop head. They getting the Source magazine, Jet magazine, Double XL, all that. That fueled my passion to read. So like when I became a librarian and when I was in Broward, working for Broward County Libraries, and my story time was popping. Like I was doing back-to-back sessions. It was ranging from 50 to 150 people. I
Wow.
was asking some of my homies, I'm like, yo, ain't nobody doing no kids content that look like us?
Wow.
And we were doing our research, like, yo, we ain't seen nothing like this since Reading Rainbow.
Right.
So this is 2018. And I was pondering on it, saying, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
And my dad was like, look, man, just do it, man. Just stop playing. So January 1st, 2019, I said, I'm gonna start Three King Visions because I want kids that look like us
Mhm.
to be inspired. And it's not just saying I'm catering to African Americans, I'm catering to all kids because they need to see people that are, I don't want to say corny, but someone that looks cool, someone that looks like them. I'm coming in with the J's on. I'm coming in, like representing like I'm a byproduct of hip hop.
Mhm.
So why can't we make librarianship look cool? It's dope. I live good, man. I lived in Miami. I lived in Vegas all through librarianship. So when I created Three King Visions, I'm like, look, man, this is something to inspire other kids because I think with me coming up, speak for myself and my other homies, we always think either you're gonna play ball, rap, or do some form of entertainment. We can break the barriers with this. I'm a storyteller. I'm a librarian. I'm an entertainer, pretty much.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you can inspire the youth, and the reception I've been getting has been tremendous. Like, I didn't expect this to grow. I'm almost at 10,000 followers on IG. My YouTube is now starting to pop because I'm being consistent. But this is something I love to do. You're a librarian. Like, this ain't work for me. This ain't. I love doing what I'm doing as far as becoming a storyteller. I've always been an entertainer, so it's like, how can I flip this? Because I'll tell you a story. So my first librarian interview at Jacksonville Public Library. So they said you had to do a story time and you had to do showcase an online resource. So then with the story time, they had it broken down where you had to do an opening song, you had to do a one story, then you had to do a field board. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, so, and I'm looking up songs and stuff. I'm like, man, I don't do no old McDonald. I wasn't even singing that when I was little. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do me. And I read Maurice Sendak, What the Wild Things Are. and I did it my way. Did the song, sing along my way, showcase Brain Fuse as an online resource, and I took off from there. So, Three King Visions just represents inspiring the youth. Subscribe to Three King Visions on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Follow me on IG. I'm just trying to elevate story time, because you can read a book, but can you read a book? And that's a big difference.
There is a big difference. I remember my first time that I really got the opportunity to see a story time like enacted is with one of my friends. She's a school librarian as well, but we ended up working in the same library at the same time. And I like how you mentioned that you worked in different types of libraries. This particular library that I was working in was basically, I like to call it a platypus, because it was an academic library because we were there literally on a college campus. It was a school library because there was a charter school attached to or inside of this on this campus. And then it was a public library because of the funding that they had going on. And so we had three different types of people coming in. And then we also had to deal with Head Start as well. So it was kind of like pre-K school. So we had like four different types of demographics coming into this library at any point, right? And so she was technically in charge of the children. And her name is Angela Gerber. Shout out to her. And she started doing this story time. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch this and see what's going on. The way that she engaged these children, the way that she created a space for them, and she would get all into it. She doing the cosplay, she dressing up, she making sure that they got stuff to dance to, and then she gets into the story. She's so animated and she's just engaging. I ain't never seen these kids this quiet. I was like, yo, this is dope. Now, I'm a storyteller, but I don't even know if this is my area. I was like, no, I couldn't even probably pull this off in the way that you pull this off. And it takes a lot to do that. What goes into—
They don't know.
It takes a lot. What really goes into you creating one of your videos, one of your story times? How long does it take? How long is the duration? Is this like a full day of filming for you? Or is this like, okay, I can get this done, I got it curated now, and it's gonna take me about 5 to 10 minutes?
So this is funny. So literally last night, so I did 2 recordings. So I did the recording of The Fleas Come with the Dog by Devin Strange, and I did the classic Crown, Ode to the Fresh Cut by Derek Barnes.
Okay.
So my creative process, I flip through the book. And I know as a storyteller, you can flip through a book within the first 2 or 3 pages. You know if it's a good book for story time. Like if it's too wordy, it's too long. Like kids got short attention spans like adults. I think authors need to start realizing that, because some of the tricks me and you as storytellers do. I'm gonna paperclip a page or 2. If it's too long, I'm gonna do something, But my process starts with the book, and then I just start visualizing. I'm a very creative person. Like I'll start thinking of hip hop songs, thinking about funny stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just be me and be animated. So I just read the book. A lot of times, it's a 1 take, maybe 1 or 2 takes, and I get it done because it got to the point where when you do so many story times, like you it's just natural, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I did both those videos, and I'll say it took me maybe 35, 40 minutes plus, because I'm doing a sing-along, I'm doing the opening song, I'm reading the book, then I'm doing the closing song, then I drink some water because your throat start going out, your mouth gets dry. This is the stuff people don't know. And then I'm performing, people don't know, it takes a lot of energy, So, and then imagine if I was doing it in person, like if you're entertaining a group of 30, 40 kids or family members, after reading 2 or 3 stories, you spent.
Yeah.
People would just, well, you just reading a book. No. And you got to keep their attention, right? Yeah. Because kids are honest. You know what I'm saying? I had
way too honest.
Way too honest. And the parents don't let you know if they're rocking with you too. I had a family tell one of my librarians a couple of years ago. They was like, "You don't read like Mr. Billy," and I not try to tell her, like, don't take offense to it, none of that. But if they be used to a certain type of style,
Yeah.
you don't have to flip your own style to cater to the kids. So people just don't know. Well, it's them intricacies of storytelling. I'm telling you.
That's so funny. Kids are gonna look, kids gonna be kids and they gonna tell you it like it is.
Yeah.
And they do not care. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about none of that. So it is definitely important. Do you have, speaking of talking about that, because like you mentioned your throat gets dry. You mentioned trying to
Yeah.
energy and all of that stuff. Do you have a library horror story where you kind of like crash and burn that you want to share?
Library during story time, or you talking about just libraries in general?
During story time or libraries in general.
Oh, because working in public libraries, it go down. So
Okay, yes.
I would say a story time disaster. I
Mhm.
never look at it like that because to me, storytelling has a freestyling element to it. There's no such thing as planning a perfect story time. Something can go wrong. A baby start crying. You got the parents talking in the back. What I like to do is put them on the spot and be like, "Hey, mom, what do you think about this page right here?" And everybody turn around looking at her like, "What's up?" It's always that unpredictable element. Or let's say I'm reading a book and I'm reading the room and they ain't feeling it. I may shorten up the book real quick and go to the next book, go to a felt board activity. I always have backup plans. So it's kind of hard to say. I would say this: when I first started doing story times, you were talking about Head Start. So I used to do an outreach at this Head Start place, and the lady I would be doing my song. She's like, no, I want you to do it this way. I want you to do it this way. And I said, oh, really, man? You come up here with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, put her on the spot. That could be kind of like derailing your confidence because she's used to a certain type of story time. She wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm still trying to find my way, find like, how confident can I be? How do I perform? But now I don't have those issues, but issues in libraries, look, I mean, even today, I had a gentleman try to come to the library with no shoes on.
Oh my God.
And then I'm looking at him. He was like, man, I walked through the gallery earlier. I just want some water. I said, how about this? You're going to walk out here, but I'm going to get you a bottle of water. Once you find you some shoes, come back in Whitney Library. I think one of the funniest things that I find out that I tell people that libraries ain't what you think they are. Libraries, we are community centers more, as far as information. And I'm 37 years old. And this is why we do what we do. When I see people my age or younger that have a smartphone, but don't know how to compose an email, navigate through the internet, basic life skill functions, you're going to be like, okay, they need us. Yeah. They need us. We assume that we know how to do this type of stuff. And that's not the truth, man. People need this information and resources.
Yes, I agree because I remember that. I remember people my age and people when I worked in this particular area. I remember people my age or people that were younger than me. And also, you have the older population. A lot of the things that I do when I was in the library and I was in a public library space, but in my personal time too, I curate content for, I call it tech savvy seniors. So for people that are they're like 55, 65 plus, because their kids buy them all of this technology and they want them to up to date and then don't have the nerve to teach them how to use it. And so they come to the library and they be like, I don't know how to function. I don't know how to use this thing. I have it, but I can't pull up stuff. Show me how to create a Facebook profile, all of these different things. And so
it's tax season. It's tax season right now.
Yeah. They come into the library for taxes, all of these different things. And so for some people, you have to literally, some of them, you have to sit there with them for maybe, if you have the time to sit there with them for like 30 minutes, sometimes to an hour. Luckily, our library wasn't always super busy. And so I was able to kind of like give that time sometimes. But imagine being on a day where it's 15 people in here and then you coming up in here, and then you need somebody to help you use your phone.
It's like that for us, man. We only got 21 computers and all of them are full all day. The study rooms are always getting reserved. And, I got a big staff. I mean, I manage 28 people, but, I mean, if you got 6 people in adult services all helping 6 different people and there's 15 other people need assistance, that's a lot, especially if you really are really needing of assistance. So, look, they don't be knowing what we go through.
Listen, I'm like, look, y'all don't understand. The library literally be popping, like especially
Popping, like
in the public library space. Oh,
and you never look. It's never a dull moment. That's why I love what I do because it never gets redundant. And I'm always viewing life in a humorous way. Some of the funniest things I be seeing, and it's like, really, like. People just don't know, and then sometimes people think, yes, we have the homeless community that comes in, we have the senior citizens, we have the stay-at-home moms. Sometimes it's the ones with the money, they be acting the worst.
Okay, look, since you brought it up, since you the one brought it up, but absolutely, them be the ones, and them the ones that'll give you the hardest time sometime, and you be like, listen, this is a public library. I am not your servant. If you need to pay for someone to get one-on-one assistance, please utilize your resources to do so. But as for this house, as for this place, we got other people to take care of and to help. And you find all types of people in a public library. You find all kind of people coming in. Then you got the unrulies that don't want to follow none of the rules, that don't want to do none of the stuff, and then you got to try to figure out how to navigate through that. And then now you're a black guy, you're a black man in a position of authority in this space, and so you have to deal with all of these other caveats and things. And I just finished
including
the staff, yes. And I just finished reading this book. It's called Caste by Isabel Wickerson. And she talks about that. She talks about this caste system where everybody falls and things of that nature, and then is subordinate caste and all of these different things, and what we would be considered a part of the subordinate caste or the lower caste because we're African American or because we're Black. And so now, as a Black man in a position of authority in Las Vegas, in a library system, I can only imagine the things that you have to deal with and navigate on a daily basis. And so I guess one of my questions is how do you practice winding down your self-care? Is that what Three Kings vision is for you? Is that a part of your self-care, or what are you doing, or what are you incorporating in your life as a Black librarian to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to keep showing up every single day, even though y'all done worked my last nerve today?
You know what? To be honest, and I tell my dad, my sisters, and my mom this all the time. I love what I do. Mm-hmm. So this is why I created Three King Vision. So when I work on this content, when I get home, this ain't work for me. This is I know I'm working on a bigger purpose. Yeah. I mean, I don't do this for the money. You know what I'm saying? Las Vegas pay me quite well. So I'm like, when I'm doing this brand and platform, this is strictly about impacting our kids in the community and bridging that relationship and the gap between the parent, the caregiver, the cousin, the uncle, all of them together. That story time ain't just for the little one, it's for you too. So y'all create that bond of the lifelong love of reading. Mm-hmm. I disconnect. Look, I tell people all the time, I'm human. I turn up, I do everything. I watch basketball, I work out, kick it with the friends. A librarian, the more successful librarians they have their time management skills, up the par. But we all know that thing get crazy sometimes. So, and I'm a manager. So, just always constantly thinking about work. Then I'm thinking about the brand, how I promote this. The dope thing about it is my career and my brand coincide with each other. So I'm always able to, build connections. And when I'm hanging out, if I'm at a bar or something, I'm always a walking library commercial. Always. Because when people hear that I'm a librarian, they're curious. They're like, hold on, man, people still go to libraries? Boom, you just open up the door. I'm about to tell you about brain fuse. You got Rosetta Stone? No, well, you can get Rosetta Stone for free with your library card.
Okay.
You know, I be kicking that ish, and I love that. You know, my dad told me, he said, man, you know what, you lucky, man. Not too many people love what they do. This thing changed my life. You know, I went back to school at 25, got my bachelor's at 29, my master's at 31. I'm 6 years in the game, 37 years old, and I've literally gotten promoted almost every other year in my career. You know, been managing for 4 years. So this is what, like, God's plan. This is God's plan, you know. I don't take it for granted, not one bit. And you know, like my slogan is leaders of the new cool. Librarians, we are leaders of the new cool. We're going to inspire people, more African Americans, more just people in general, to get into this field because it's wide open. You know, with this pandemic going on, people retiring left and right. There are opportunities everywhere.
Yes, and I am trying to utilize and take advantage of all of those, like those opportunities. And you just said something that actually gives me more hope and courage, because unfortunately, I'm a librarian who has never held a position as an actual librarian. I've always been stuck in these paraprofessional positions, and that's not in any fault of my own. I will caveat that by saying, because if I don't know how to do nothing else, I know how to write a cover letter. Okay, so I do a good job. I get the interviews, but then there is still a lot of bureaucracy that happens in the field of librarianship. But the one thing that you said is that there are still success stories out there. You just said something that is incredible, that you have had the opportunity to be promoted every other year, and you've had the opportunity to see this elevation. And so that's good to know that there is not always sob stories when it comes to Black librarians in the library field. I mean, now that doesn't mean that that's, you know, all of our stories, but your story is inspirational to see, like, there is a possibility that you won't get, you know, blocked in, you won't hit a ceiling, any of those different things, but it doesn't mean that you don't still have a lot of different challenges that you have to navigate through. But it's to say that, like you said, it has been a blessing for you each step of the way. And shout out to you for taking the time out of your life and the having the courage and the tenacity to go back to school at 25 and be like, I'm gonna do this. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this done. And I think honestly, that was probably the perfect age, because then you really had the opportunity to make a decision to be like, I know that this is what I want to do and I desire to do. And I agree with you when you say that this changed my life, because it absolutely did. I had the choice, and you know, I didn't know that you could go to school to be a librarian for quite a long time, but I always knew deep down that I wanted to work in libraries. And so it was just like being inspired by that and seeing, I had the opportunity to see Black librarians around me as I grew up. I don't know if that's your testimony, but I did have the opportunity to see, you know, people of color working in library, in the field of library science. I didn't know how they got there. I just knew that they were working there. And when I was deciding between going to school for social work or going to school to be a librarian, it was just a natural thing to be like.
And guess what? Librarians are pretty much social workers now anyway.
Hello. And when you think about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a library degree. And it just felt right. And it felt good. So even when I have these frustrating moments about the field and how I feel about it concerning it, I would rather be nowhere else but here. And to be able to have conversations like this with people like you, I'm like, listen, I'm creating a space for myself, because that's one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure it out. So, but you shook your head no. So you didn't get the opportunity to really see Black librarians as you grew up?
No, not at all. Like, you know, just to piggyback, I guess that probably goes to the next question as far as me seeing any Black librarians growing up. I didn't. Like, that was just something I ain't never seen before. The first Black librarian I ever seen was my mentor, Dr. Jerome Offer at Lincoln University. He's at Harvard University right now, killing it.
Okay, Harvard.
Yeah, so when I was at Lincoln University and Dr. Offer and my homeboy Bradley Kirkendall, Gerard Moore, my boy J-Mo, we all went to an internship in St. Louis and watched you. Check this out. This is what sold me. So, because I was like kind of on the edge of doing this, they was like, look, AJ, that's what everybody know me as AJ. So like, yo, you need to do that. I'm telling you, this librarian thing is the plug. So we go to this internship. This is in St. Louis, 2012.
Okay.
So I meet one of my best mentors ever, Makiba Foster, Trevor Dahl, and Kelvin Watts.
Okay.
The director of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District, and he was a director in Broward County Libraries. Okay. That's how I built those relationships, which hopefully he's gonna be the next president of the ALA. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So those connections have been influential in me becoming who I am today. My network. You know what I'm saying? I'm affiliated with probably some of the heavy hitters in the field as far as African Americans, but not even just African Americans. You got Kelvin Watson, Makiba Foster, and Dr. Offer. These are main staples in librarianship. So, you know, me is following their lead, absorbing all this information. So when I meet other librarians like you, anytime I see another Black librarian, it's almost like a fraternity sorority because we all come together because it's so important to have that support, and it's a small world. You was talking about how people are being gatekeepers in these positions in librarianship. We trying to break that wide open.
Yeah.
We trying to break that wide open because we see it happen. I'm hearing these stories, and I'm like, yo, man, how can I help? You know what I can help? Reach out, developing these relationships. So when, look, you know the library world is a small world.
Yeah.
And this ALA this summer gonna be huge as far as us being represented and connecting with each other. So, you know, in due time, we're gonna all support each other.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. ALA gonna be lit this year. And it's actually, I think, in DC again. So
I have room to go for the whole week.
Yes, I'm gonna try to get the opportunity to go again because it was when I first went to ALA when it was in DC, I was like, oh yeah, I like it here. And then I'm just a book person, so I was enjoying getting all the freebies. And so I was loving it. And but ALA is definitely where it's at. And I shout out to him. I hope he wins as well. Because listen, we've had a couple and I was like, yes. But it would be even more, if we continue to get more of us, the more we get in the forefront, the more we see more people of color, the more attractive spaces like this become. And it is not to say, like, once again, it's not to say that the library world wasn't already attractive, but it becomes more attractive when you see representation, people that look like you doing these things, because you might have just a little bit of a curiosity. But then when you see somebody, like for me, when I saw Dr. Hayden become the Librarian of Congress, that was a game changer for me. Man. And I was like, yes, definitely I made the right choice. I'm definitely all up in there. I definitely want to make sure that at some point I get the opportunity to meet her, to maybe work with her, to do something with her, because listen, I have not had the opportunity to see someone of color hold the highest office that you can hold in this field, and now you have accomplished it. So now I think, oh, well, if I can't be number one, then maybe I could be number two. I could be the second person. And there's one person that says she wants to see more women, she wants to see more people of color operate and hold that seat. So I'm like, yeah, well, you just broke the door down for us to be able to, and I'm all in there and I'm for it. So we're talking about the diversity of the field. We're talking about the diversity of, just how the culture in the library. There's this thing that's going on, and I've been talking to all my library friends about it, because now you're one of my friends. You just in there now. So there's this thing that's going around about banning books. It's specifically banning books for kids and for, young adults and for teenagers. What are your thoughts on that? And how are you at your library? You got the same face all the rest of us. How are you at your library in Vegas combating against that?
I would be a living, walking contradiction if I supported ban books.
Listen.
We're talking about DEI, you know what I'm saying? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, and accessibility. Mm-hmm. So like this, what are we doing this for? You know what I'm saying? We're already minorities in this field. And for me to be in a leadership position, and support that, like what are we talking about? Well, we're just gonna throw away intellectual freedom.
Ooh, ooh.
You know, I mean, what are we talking about here? As far as we already have issues, one of the number one questions, you know, the number one question I get as a storyteller on my platform, they want to know how can they get their book in the library. That's my biggest barrier.
Yeah.
So, and me supporting banned books, you know what I'm saying? The hate you give, what? How we have that on the banned books list? You know, I mean, come on now, like this is something that it don't even come up in my library because I think one thing I do know, diversity in Broward County and now in Las Vegas Clark County Library District is that they welcome diversity. And you know, my library in the hood, you know, we in the urban community, so we need the books. They need to see us.
They need to see us.
But like you know, the issue. I don't have those issues as far as collection development. You know, and someone has an issue with a certain book. You know, we got other options for you. You know, response. You know, I don't get rid of a book because it's something you don't like. We all don't like the same stuff. You know, like why when it comes to books, people pick and choose when they come to do this type of stuff. Yeah. So we're supposed to be welcoming all walks of life to get information in libraries. Yeah. And I will never stop doing that. So, you know, I mean, yeah, put up a banned books display, but I'm not banning no books because you don't like it. Because I know hundreds of other people that like that book.
Okay, and because listen, I am of the school that a good library has something, at least one book in it that offends everybody. That's a good library. Somebody gonna be mad at something.
And we all human. So it's like, but that's not your place to say, oh man, we about to dive in the mosh pit. I was in a youth services meeting when I was in Broward County. This is when I first started Three King Vision. So we was talking about building an initiative to support local authors. So one of these children, department heads said, I don't know about putting all these Black authors books in there. Have you seen them? They are terrible. I said, no. I said, I can't agree with that. I said, now I mean, I said, you trying to tell me every children's book in your collection is good? She turned red. So it's like, when you got people like that working, that like being gatekeepers, that's the real issue. That's the real issue.
That's the huge issue. That's the problem now, because you feel like you have the authority and the ability and the right to tell people that they can't have access to the material that you're there designed to give them access to. How dare you?
What you like. It's not what you like. You know, like one of my librarians I was training years ago, you know, she's a big supporter of the LGBT community. I love it, but that's all she ordered for kids. I said, how about this? I flipped it on. You know, I'm big on coaching and mentoring. I said, you know what? I want you to get to know your patrons after story time. Ask them what they want to read. You're going to find a lot. She said, Billy, I never thought about it like that. You know, we all have interests, and I get it. You may order something, you know, like, okay, I think somebody may like that. I'm all for that. But I'm not ordering all hip-hop books, all, you know, basketball books. No, I want everybody coming into my library. This is their safe haven.
Yeah, and that's so important. We have to make sure that we're buying books, we're creating a space for people to come and find what they want to read, not what you want them to read or what you want to read. This ain't your personal library. This is a public library. This is a public space. And, you know, and I appreciate it because I've had some things that I had to undo in regards to, and some unlearning that I had to do in regards to how I felt about censorship and all of those different things. Because I remember making this dumb statement or coming up with a scenario talking about specifically about certain patrons coming in for a specific type of books, and I just had a little bit of a concern, and I was like, I don't know if they should have access to that. And one of my library friends at the time, and I appreciate when we check each other, and she did it nicely, she just was like, who are you to censor somebody's what they're reading? Like, and I was like, you right, sis, you right. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, how are you going to just say that this person shouldn't have access to this book because you feel a certain way about it. Now, unless it becomes a life or death situation, that's different. But at the same time, that's not your concern. Your problem and your job is to create access. Your job is to give them the ability to be able to read in whatever capacity and whatever interest that they have. That is not your job to tell these people that they can or cannot read what they can or cannot read. Like, excuse you, they not robots. You're not a robot. Why would you even want to create that type of hostile environment when it comes to reading? Especially once again when it comes to like Black boys. And so let's even talk about that. Let's get it from the male perspective of how you are creating a space where you're engaging young Black men or young men in general, not even just young Black men, but young men in general, to get excited about reading and to desire to come into the library and check out books and things of that nature. Have you seen an increase in that space for that?
Well,
And how have you been doing that?
um, to anyone that watches this and you work in libraries, libraries have a lot of kids that come in there. And the reason why I've been successful and I love you services or even just people, I treat those kids with the same respect I do with the adults. When they come in, I don't look like they troublemakers. I don't look at them like that. I actually develop rapport with them. They know me by first name basis. When they come for something, they're looking for Mr. Billy. Just asking them how they're doing, asking them 13, 14, 15-year-old how they date, go a long way. Talk about sneakers, talk about something else, talk about video games. Yo, you got that PS5? Boom, boom, boom. I'm playing the end game. Because once I develop that rapport, I'm like, yo, man, I got a book tasting program, I got a social justice book club. I want you to come through. I also go do the gaming program too, but I want you to come to this. Matter of fact, have your parents get you a library card, man. I want y'all to check out some books. Matter of fact, oh, you a diehard Lakers fan? You read that book about Lamar Odom? Oh, Mr. Billy, we got that. It's a game within the game to influence the youth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's life is all about relationships. I don't know why people act like that goes out the window when it comes to dealing with the youth. We did teen empowerment summits last year, and Broward County had 800 teens. Me and the other librarians, we talk to them. You have to be engaged with your community. When I talk about seeing the impact of these young men that come into my library, first of all, they know they're gonna have video games. They love the games. They ain't going nowhere. I'd rather have them inside my library rather than be on the streets. But you know what I'm saying? As long as they get some form of information, but eventually they're like, hey, Mr. Billy, man, you ain't got this graphic novel over here. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge nothing. If they want something to read, I'm going to get it. When that Kobe Bryant book, Mama Mentality came out, I ordered 6 copies at my branch. And I did some interlibrary loans just so that someone could read it in-house in the library on my library card. It's just how bad you want them to gain that resource. And kids see right through. Teenagers see right through people. They know if you don't like kids or teens.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll tell you, just like the adults. So it's like, anytime I see a staff member like that, which, it's almost funny because it's almost like the stereotype where adult services don't like dealing with youth services. And both, I'm like, it's the same thing.
It is. It's so funny because that you say that. I always joke about the fact that I don't rock with kids like that. And but they're always gravitating to me and stuff like that because, like you said, kids admire and they gravitate towards somebody who keeps it real, who acknowledges them, who respects them and talks to them, not beneath their level, but on their same level, and you communicate with them. And that's the same thing that I do with my nephews. We have real talk conversations. Look, this is how you act. I'm gonna treat you how you acted. And if I want to open the door for you to be able to understand that there is a way to effectively communicate where we can mutually respect each other. You are not beneath me. I am not above you. We're standing side by side in this thing so that we can have these conversations. And I think that is part of the reason why, I've often had children, teens, and young adults that gravitate. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so I've been in this space where I'm trying to have read more young adult literature so that I can also promote and give them options whenever they come ask. And so I do appreciate, and we're getting close to wrapping up, but I appreciate you taking this time out to spend this hour with me. And it has very much so been impactful. It has been enlightening. So please tell the people where they can find you. If there's any information that you want to drop right now, let the folk know. Feel free to take this time.
First and foremost, thank you for having me on your platform. It's an honor for you to even reach out to me. It's real humbling. First and foremost, everybody, support anybody that wants to develop a love of reading. That's what Three King Visions represents. You can find me on social media, on Instagram, Facebook at Three King Visions. Please subscribe to Three King Visions on YouTube. I promise my storytelling platform is like no other. The parents gonna be engaged, the kids gonna be engaged. It's just a great experience. I'm just all about the support. And if you're an independent author, come holler at your boy. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an email at 3kingvisions at gmail. We'll try to make it happen because I'm passionate about giving back to the youth. And librarians, we leaders of the new pool.
Absolutely, absolutely. Once again, Billy, thank you so much for being here. And thank you everybody for listening, and thank you for watching. We appreciate all the support, and support his platform. Please go follow him. I'm telling you, you won't regret it, because he is that what you see here. Multiply that by 10 for real, because ball of energy. I love it. I said, listen, Mr. Billy got me into story time, and it ain't geared towards me. So I agree. But have a good weekend, y'all, and thanks for watching.